Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture Gaming, joined by Scott, and
Hello.
Welcome to the end of our E3 Microsoft coverage, because Microsoft have just had their E3 2019 briefing, and what we thought we'd do is basically emulate what goes on the Wrestling Channel and do a what went down after the Microsoft briefing conference. So what we're going to do is going to break down all of the new games that came out, some games that we weren't expecting, and then finish off with some games that just need a bit of love.
Do you want an insane thing, Jules Gill?
Please do.
Keanu Reeves was there. Keanu Reeves popped out. They did a whole thing for Cyberpunk 2077, had this whole CG trailer type thing.
Yeah.
And then we had, the lights went down, we had a whole bunch of steam came out from this sort of door in the middle of the stage. Keanu Reeves walks out.
I honestly think that's just how he goes into any room. It just steam anywhere. But yeah, it was fantastic. He announced that Cyberpunk 2077 is obviously coming out, but it's got a release date now of the 16th of April.
2020.
There you go.
So not 2019, but he's in it though.
Oh yeah, he's actually in it. That's the big twist, is that when your character gets dumped on what appears to be a scrap heap, he looks up and none other than John Wick looking down at him saying, "All right, pal, off we pop.
Come with me.
Come with me."
He's got like a silver arm or whatever. It seems like he's a main story character. It seems like it's been under wraps for a while, alongside filming John Wick 3, but big news.
And speaking of arms that are silver and gold coloured, let's strap on one, because Elden Ring, we got to see more of that as well, which was J.R. Tolkien.
So close.
George R.R. Martin,
There
you'll
you
see why I said that in a minute. George R.R. Martin's been teamed up with Miyazaki from Software, and they have announced that they are going to do an open world, potentially Nordic-themed inspired, an equally obtuse storytelling style game that's going to be called Elden Ring, and that's going to be coming out soon.
So we've known about this for a few weeks, but like it went from like what? How the hell could that even be a thing to being completely announced on the Microsoft stage? But yeah, it seems that G.R. Martin has co-created this new world alongside Hidetaka Miyazaki from Software.
Yeah.
And they showed like just some CG sort of renders. Like the general sort of art style is very bulky looking armor. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Darksiders armor or the World of Warcraft style armor. Like this one like our Lord guy that we saw had this giant red plume thing on his head. But you still had this sort of like macabre, twisted looking art style where you had this guy that was like forging what looked like the One Ring.
It was like
destroying
you
it.
thought that he was forging it, but then it was like the story, the voiceover was saying that it was destroying, he was breaking this ring, and it's probably going to be, if it's Miyazaki, it's going to be about the cycle of life and death and rebirth, and it's going to have something to do with that, and all of these warriors may be coming together to stop.
Well, the guy was like crusting and falling apart as he was doing it. But that's the thing. I mean, if you're a big fan of G.R.R. Martin, you know that he cites Tolkien as one of his major influences. And it's very interesting him doing something that, like, there's a lot of imagery in here that make me think of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
From the forging side of it to just talking about this One Ring and the Elden Ring itself being this big object of power.
And speaking of rings of power, no, we're not talking about your mum. We're talking about the ring in Halo, because Halo Infinite got some
Master of the segue.
I mean, that's what I do. That's what I do. You're a colour commentator. You come up with this stuff.
You gotta be done.
The, Halo Infinite got a rather lengthy CGI cutscene that was expressing a very different and quite raw side from the series, which we haven't really seen before.
They shifted into a bit that then became gameplay, because they said, we're gonna show this new Halo Infinite thing, and we followed this new character that was in a ship, and he was like in the middle of I don't know, either being overtaken, this whole breach thing, whatever. He eventually gets back in control of his ship, and he wipes the front of his visor, and Master Chief is outside, which threw me for a loop, because I was like, where does this even fit in the timeline? Because post Halo 5, Cortana's gone missing, and then I don't know, the ship that Chief's on.
We get
blows up.
We get a definitive bit where he pops the AI chip that he's holding in his hand into his brain, and it does say AI missing.
Yes.
And there we go. It's like setting it up as being in the future, and it looks like the world's gone to pot because, well, half of the ring has been destroyed, or a massive chunk of it, but Cortana seems to be directly involved with this because it was her voice emulating out of a giant glowing orb while showing the ring blowing up, which maybe is that she's taken over the ring itself.
I mean,
maybe she is now the new construct.
Her whole thing at the end of throughout 4 and 5 is that she was getting increasingly rampant. She was like trying to fight against the idea that her AI was like degrading. So like in Halo 5, she kind of went completely crazy and then left at the end of that game. And it seems like she's Chief obviously tracks her down, but one of the rings itself is blown up again.
Well, think about it this way. I mean, if one of the reasons that she was a rampant AI is because she was running out of like processing space and stuff like that, maybe with infinite spaces, as in the multiple rings across all of that, and You know,
maybe.
But I could see the storyline being something like, "Hey, Chief, I'm chilling out on this ring now. I'm now all of the rings, but one of them's broken, and if it stays broken, I'm gonna have to destroy the galaxy."
The whole thing that they've got with this is that they also will get onto the idea that they confirmed the next Xbox.
Yes.
But one of the things with Halo is they said it's not coming until midway through 2020 because they want to announce it or they want to release it alongside the new Xbox.
Yep.
And so the whole idea with this new Halo is that it's kind of like a soft reboot. You've got like this pristine, like very young-looking Chief armor, like it looks like he did, but kind of back in the day. The only thing that gives it away is the big bits on the back of his shoulders. But that whole idea of like doing like the new Halo, like you know everything that's old is new again kind of thing.
But this is the thing, like Halo Chiefs have been floating around in space for a bit, but let's just bring the tone down a bit and go a little bit further to the ground and talk about cloud, or more specifically cloud streaming, because that is one of the big features of the Scarlet, which is the new, well, it's not even the new name for the project, it's just the confirmed name for the new console.
For now, it's Project Scarlet the same way that we had Project Scorpio or Project Natal if you've been around for long enough. But yeah, the Project Scorpio is the name that they're giving to it for now, and they showed like a teaser where they had a bunch of different devs and they had a bunch of different tech people saying that the focus is going to be on streaming and on minimizing load times.
Those were their two big features that they were pushing.
And so like xCloud is pretty much Microsoft's answer to Google Stadia or something like the Sony Gaikai streaming technology. It seems like the next Xbox is going to be all digital or all streaming anyway.
It was very interesting to see that they had a clear segue point to say like, look, we are offering new partnerships and we're definitely focusing on cloud. I was expecting them to bring at least some Sony rep up there and just be like, look, we're working together on this. Like, Sony isn't here, but Sony is definitely working with Microsoft to make this happen. But it is, like you say, that direct challenge to Stadia.
I just think, I mean, like I said, like all the stuff is digital. They talked about bringing together like 4 generations worth of systems. I don't think that rules out physical backwards compatibility, but I do think they want to have an online service that lets you play all the generations of Xbox in one place.
If you look at the success of Game Pass and the fact that they are offering so many games digitally anyway, it would make sense for them to continue that and just offer a streaming service similar to, like you were saying, it's the Netflix of games.
Totally.
So why not carry on doing that? Then we went into Jedi Fallen Order, which is the new Star Wars game, and it looked absolutely amazing.
So they showed a big chunk of this at the EA Play conference. That was where we got like a 12-minute demo, and they showed more of it tonight. Kind of like more of the same kind of thing, like Saw Gerrera's confirmed Forrest Whitaker's character from Rogue One. They haven't confirmed, it's still a big mystery as to who our main character is actually working for. Apparently he's been trained by a Jedi from the canon, but we don't know who it is.
But you know what, I'm fine with that, because I'm glad that they didn't just go like, you are the one that can balance the Force, or you are the good guy, you're this. It's just like he's in the middle, like and the whole point is choice, I hope.
I think so.
You just get to choose which side you're on, or he's going to be like the Rogue One was, which was a lot of grey morals.
Yeah, I mean, even speaking of Rogue One, they bring the K2 droid back in. It's not K2SO.
I was about to say, I was like, you're going to kill him
Don't
off.
kill K2SO. But yeah, so the way that Jedi Fallen Order seems to play is just like Jedi Academy or Jedi Knight, which those games, I wonder if they're so old. I mean, we know what they are.
Yeah.
But like, if you could, I mean, the last one was in like 2002 or 2003. Yeah. You could totally be like a teenager right now and have never played those games. And I think that's the nearest comparison as to what they're leaning on in terms of what this game is a new version of.
I mean, that all it looks like it's built from the core set from the Force Unleashed, maybe. In terms of like the action-heavy game.
Yeah, you've got a lot of like lightsaber deflections and a lot of like you can pick up guards and throw them around, and you can kind of slow time right to a crawl. There's one bit during the EA Play conference thing where like Guy tried to fire a blaster at our main character. Still forget his name, but he pulled the guy in front of the blaster and shot him with his own blaster bolt. Big fan of that.
I tell you what, I'm also a huge fan of being able to parkour up a wall and deflect lasers at the same time. We saw that and we were both like, hello, excuse me. Like, but yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of them doing like, they give you a set of mechanics, a set of gameplay possibilities, and just let you chain things together as we used to in old school games. Not everything has to be a defined set piece, just let us make them ourselves.
Very true. But yeah, from slicing up dudes with lightsabers to slicing up locusts with chainsaws, there was obviously the Gears 5 thing. Now this was an interesting one because it started off with just a Gears 5 sort of ident of who's the main character now again? Kat, and her face was being all like shown of people coming out like it was she's trying to decide whether she's going to fight for the Alliance or the Order. And then
it was just like Marcus Phoenix is coming out of it, then JD Phoenix, and then like the best thing, like I keep saying this, I'm like, for me and the other 6 of us who love the Gears of War lore, they're finally doing the whole thing as to why Queen Mira had a human face.
Yes,
it seems to be anyway, because the little pendant that Kat gets at the end of Gears 4 is the symbol for the Locust, and then then in this new Aiden thing,
she's got it.
Yeah, she has the pendant, and her face becomes Queen Mirror for a second and goes back to normal. And then she becomes like a full like locust zombie thing at the end of that little teaser thing.
Yeah,
but then they pivot back into the gameplay, and we get more of that.
Speaking of pivot, we actually did a literal physical pivot because for some reason they decided to build a set underneath the stage, and you went into the literal belly of Microsoft, complete with actual tendrils and intestines, because they were announcing that Gears 5 will have a new multiplayer mode called Escape, which actually looks really interesting. The concept being that there is a team of 3, you willingly get eaten by one of the sort of like convergers, they take you back to the hive.
I assume so.
Then you have to plant a bomb and escape the hive. So it's kind of like Time Splitters, the closest that Gears of War is ever going to get to Time Splitters. And it looked really interesting. They didn't show any gameplay there. That was the thing.
It was lots of CG trailers. But yeah, that was that whole mode. You plant the bomb and then you're trying to outrun this infection that sort of blows up, and you're fighting locusts that have kind of become infected and they're dying as well. It looked really cool. I'd like to see gameplay, but not for now, I guess.
Well, we did get to see some gameplay.
I was going to say, the thing that we did get gameplay for is the pop vinyl thing, which like a while back, there was a whole rumor that there was going to be a Gears of War Battle Royale game.
Yeah.
And that was assumedly going to be Gears Pop. It's not that. Gears Pop is actually Clash Royale, which is if you haven't played Clash Royale, I actually quite like it. It's not that bad. It's fine as far as mobile games go.
Okay.
But Clash Royale is a tower defense game. You've got your 3 towers, and your enemy's got your 3 towers, and you just send units out to try and take them down. It is that simple. But so many games have ripped it off, and now including.
Well, you know what? It might be Gears Pop, but I did not pop for that. But speaking of simple, let's downgrade our graphics and talk about Minecraft Dungeons, because that is a brand new game coming out for the Xbox that is an isometric dungeon crawler featuring
very Diablo.
Very Diablo, but a bit more sort of like direct control, I'd say, with it. And it's.
It looked very nice.
It looks really good. I don't think that if you're a fan of Microsoft, then you're going to lap this game. Microsoft, if you're a fan of Minecraft, you're going to lap this game up. And if you're not a fan of what Minecraft is, but like the sort of art style and the sort of exploration aspects, then you've got a new game for you right now.
I thought it looked quite snappy. Like, I mean, like no one really associates like quick sort of gameplay with Minecraft, but it's like obviously you take that sort of graphical mold, and there's a very nice way to do almost like a Lego style hack and slash. I thought it was very arcadey, and like, I mean, I'm a sucker for Minecraft graphics anyway, so I thought it looked pretty neat. But the next thing down, I believe, was Blair Witch, which took us ages to realize what it was.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting one, because I was saying to the guys in the chat that like the Blair Witch actually has a series of games that came out a long time ago. They're not that great, but they do like expand on the lore if you ever wanted it to be. It destroys the lore, in fact. But it's still interesting to see that they're resurrecting this as a gaming IP. And you know what? When you actually look at the core concept of what the Blair Witch is, like alone, like survivalist sort of things, being hunted by a presence. And in this one, he's got like a camcorder that shows like night vision, like they did a la Outlast. That's actually quite a good concept for a game.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know like what the actual gameplay is. It looks a little bit like Outlast, but the whole like trying to use your like camera to see in the dark kind of thing. The thing that gave it away as being a Blair Witch game was like one of their characters was just looking at the corner of a room, and I was like, I guess that's a Blair Witch thing.
Do you know what? I actually technically sort of thought it was Blair Witch when we sort of saw the weird grey goblin man that was in there, because the fact that I was like, oh, actually, I've kind of think that that's what they used for like one of the models before. But anyway, yeah. So those were all of the new games that were announced.
Do you know what wasn't there?
No Fable.
Why was Fable not there? They did have the dude from Playground Games come out and showed us a nice Lego car that then went alongside the idea that there's some Lego DLC for Forza Horizon.
No, do not underplay this, my man. We sat there, and when it said like announcing Forza 4, I was pissing myself because I was like, oh, and Scott was like huffing, and I was like, oh, I'm Scott, give us something exciting. Oh, Forza,
because we had,
and then all of a sudden it just says like a Lego car pulls up, and I'm like, Forza just got excited.
It made no sense. I can't even. It makes no sense at all why there'd be a Lego DLC for Forza Horizon. But then you watch it in motion, it's like, actually, it looks pretty damn good.
I'm definitely gonna pick this up. I thought that looked absolutely fantastic. Didn't enjoy the Everything Is Awesome remix though.
No, that's another thing. The song in the background is this Everything Is Awesome thing. But point being that they had the dude from Playground Games on stage.
Yes.
Playground Games are the team that are behind the new Fable, and I kind of thought that might be a pivot into them saying, well, also we've got this thing we're working on. No mention of Fable whatsoever. So I guess just not yet.
But you know what? Pivoting into people who are working with Microsoft, let's talk about Double Fine, because they have now joined forces with the House of M, and they are bringing Psychonauts 2 to the Xbox One, which looked fantastic. I enjoyed the snippets of gameplay that we got, and Tim Schafer came out on stage and just had a bloody good time.
I love Tim Schafer.
And he just seems like a nice, huggable man.
They did mention for their acquisition, they mentioned their old games. Obviously, they said that Double Fine are responsible for this legacy of games.
Game Pass.
Yeah, and it's like, they mentioned Psychonauts and they had a picture of Brutal Legend, and it's just like, put all of Double Fine's games on Game Pass. They're one of the best legacies, one of the best collections of games in gaming history, and it's about time more people got to play them.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And it wasn't the only people that have been teaming up with Microsoft there, because we got to see Ninja Theory and their new game Bleeding Edge, which was...
I thought it looked pretty good.
Because it's a 4v4.
It's another hero shooter.
Yeah, so it's a 4v4. I think that it's just I would have liked to have seen a little bit more gameplay especially when they were saying, "Oh, it's going to be a melee focused thing," and I was like, "That's interesting." And then the next 3 shots was somebody using a gun, and I was like, "Okay, I don't really."
They do have a woman that turns into a bike though. Which looks kind of cool.
That's great.
I think as far as the art direction goes, it looks like pretty unique. Like obviously you can draw parallels to the impetus to chase Overwatch, but like I still thought it looked pretty cool.
It looks a little bit more like Battleborn in terms of the style of art.
A little bit,
because it's the elongated character models and stuff like that. But either way, I think that it will be a fun game. I just hope that I hope it just doesn't fall prey to that thing of just being a bit too similar to its peers, so that it falls by the wayside.
I'd say another thing that was massive. It took us ages to figure out what this was during the trailer, but Phantasy Star Online 2.
Oh yeah.
The first time that's coming to the West. Like I have a whole bunch of friends who used to play Phantasy Star, but it was always on like weird rerouting servers to get on the Japanese servers. I never remember that thing being easy to access, but it seems like this time it's finally just going to be on Xbox and everybody can finally play it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually ever get to play Phantasy Star Online, so I know that it's a huge game, so fair play. But also, speaking of another huge franchise that unfortunately I've never had the time to play, it was the Tales of Arise or Arise or
I'm going to go with Arise, but it's probably just Arise.
It's Tales of Arise.
Yeah.
It's going to be something basic.
Arise sounds better.
To be honest, that looked actually really decent because it had like good combat mechanics. Being made by Bandai Namco, if I remember correctly, and Bandai Namco do action titles pretty well. So.
Do you know what else has done well that I didn't have a clue about, but it popped you? Age of Empires 2.
I thought you were going to talk about Battletoads.
No, I'm not.
But Age of Empires 2! Age of Empires 2 is coming and it's going to get a definitive edition to get all the expansion packs, all that little Jules inside. Not my little meat devil, little Jules that lives inside me was just like, yeah, boy!
I've not played one. Maybe I will. I don't know. Apparently it's a big deal.
If you like Command & Conquer, the old school ones, then you'll love this, man.
Okay.
It's good. It's a great game.
I'll tell you what we missed as well. We can drop in very quickly. Gears 5 has got Terminator skin packs.
Oh God!
Why?
Because
marketing, I guess.
Because it's Terminator sells. Kids now.
I guess. Like he's a mech man with a recognizable face.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, what else do we get? We got 12 minutes.
Yeah, like a kind of cool, like top down, like the camera angle for that was very much like the old school Zelda games, like Link to the Past style, where you've got this small, like sort of dungeon with the walls going up and out towards the point of view that you have. But this thing seems like it's almost like Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, the game. Very interesting.
Sort of like playing as a dude who I think you're trying to save your wife, but like different things happen every time resets.
What I enjoy about this is that I hope that they're going to lean into the sort of like how Black Mirror did that special episode where like you could go back, rewind time, but you'd actually have scenes change because your character would kind of reference what already happened.
Yes.
I hope they're going to go further down that line of like all the different branching narratives, because obviously 12 minutes of gameplay, you're going to burn through that obviously very, very quickly. So they're going to have hundreds and hundreds of
it looked like they did things.
And so it would be brilliant to like learn mistakes, so you make the same choice again, but then you do a different action because he's like, oh well, I got punched here if I duck at this
point.
That's
the thing, because at the end of that little trailer it showed his wife or his girlfriend, like I think she was dead, like in one of the adjacent rooms, and he was just lying there just like losing it because he can't manage to save her. And it seems like the whole thing's going to be based around
like this thing, the Tom Cruise film Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it was.
That's very good.
Groundhog Day is such a brilliant concept. I want to see it more in gaming. Then we had.
Then you got your Battletoads.
I mean, like Battletoads. Boom, boom, boom.
With the Streets of Rage 4 artwork style. I never played Battletoads. I've just heard that it's the worst thing.
It's not the worst thing. It's a really fun game. It just has a really, really hard level that everyone just bitches and moans about. But I'm really happy to see it come out. I mean, I loved games like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love Streets of Rage, so I'm obviously looking forward to the new one. So having it with this sort of like cartoony Teen Titans Go style art vibe, very cool. It looked very chaotic. It might be a bit too much for this old man, but I would definitely give it a try. And then let's just close out with the last two big games that were there: Outer Worlds and
Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I mean, for the first one, for Outer Worlds, that's Obsidian's. Essentially, it's Obsidian doing a Fallout.
Yes.
They can't call it Fallout, but the way that the animation works, even in this new trailer, like the camera zooms in when a character's talking to you, and the general sense of movement looked very Fallout. More over the top with the weapons, I think.
That was shrink ray.
There's a shrink ray in it.
Yeah.
And there's a giant like electric minigun.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know that the weapons were a little bit more over the top in New Vegas anyway. Like a couple of them were anyway. And so it kind of seems like they're just going like, yep, we're just gonna do the version of Fallout that you're not getting from Bethesda.
But you know what? Why? Like that's brilliant. I'm so keen for that. Yeah, definitely hyped for that. And let's talk about Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Just a gorgeous thing.
But you know the thing that they fleshed out more on that? It was boss battles.
Yeah, because I mean, in the first one you had like there was this big crow that you were trying. Like there were a few little times when you had to come up against this force that you were never going to be able to defeat. You had to sort of like avoid them, and I kind of class that as a boss battle. Yeah. But like the second one, like the scales way bigger. You've got like most of the screen is just being taken up by these giant animals that are trying to get you.
I mean, more
just
of that,
looks way more terrifying.
Yeah.
But the general like art style of that game, like if it's the same development strategy that they had with the first one, they spread development all around the world, and they refer to themselves as Moon Studio, but they have different teams all around the world. And so when they brought everything together, you kind of got all these little like cultural influences, and it's just such a beautiful looking game. But yeah,
I really hope it does well because it deserves to do well. The amount of love and effort that goes.
The footage that they showed, like it was a nice sizable chunk of gameplay, but I just think visually, like even though it plays very well, even visually it just looked gorgeous.
But yeah, that was the Microsoft E3 2019 briefing. A little bit underwhelming with the reveal of Scarlet, maybe some people were saying. Maybe even a little bit underwhelming with just the general sort of like energy levels that were coming out. But
oh man, I was psyched.
But you judge a thing on the game quality that it puts out. And honestly, with this sort of thing, they put their best foot forward. I
think so.
Apart from no Fable 4, I feel like they haven't really missed a step with that.
Yeah, for me, Fable's the only one that was missing. But I will take a Cyberpunk release date, and I will take some Halo footage. Like I would love more Gears 5 story stuff. But I think that they're just playing the long game. Like I think as much as everyone was going in going, this is the one, and it's theirs to lose. They have to they have to turn heads and make headlines. I think they've totally done that.
So yeah, there we go. E3 2019, Microsoft is in the bag. Apologies if you were expecting tons and tons of gameplay footage over the top of this. We're just trying to get this out as quickly as possible because we know it is essential to get your nerd news straight away. But yeah, go give us a follow at RetroJ with a 0 over on Twitter and...
Oh, I'm at /LP89.
And we will see you for the Bethesda live stream, which will be starting at 1 a.m. UK time. I have no idea what it is anywhere else. All I know is that I'll be tired, yo.
And we'll do another video at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, we will. But yeah, until then, we'll speak to you guys soon. Catch you later.
Bye.